That Shit MMA podcast, hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and Chicago's #1 underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and this is
Apollo Taj Mahal.
We are the guys from the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast. We know you're going to like the interview, so be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all the social media platforms, as well as the Missing Time Productions YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to didyousseethatshit.com for a complete rundown of all of our content. Right, Apollo?
Yeah.
I want to welcome back to the show Mr. Andre the Bull Harrison, who fights in just a matter of a couple days here, PFL 4, Nassau Coliseum. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just left Lower MMA, finished up my open workout, had a little bit of fun there. And, now looking to go get some food and relax a little bit.
Well, thank you for doing this, man. As I said, your fight is just in a matter of days, and it's a big fight for you, man. It's your second fight in the PFL. You took home 3 points in your first fight, and you're looking to definitely get a win, but looking to move on into the next round. How has camp been heading into this one?
It's been awesome, man. I'm at a phenomenal gym. I got some amazing coaches, some amazing partners, man. And so for me, I had a great camp, man. I wouldn't have changed anything at all. It was an awesome camp, man. I'm just ready to go out there and then have some more fun.
For sure. Now, Andre, you are the co-main event here, and I found that pretty interesting, or rather head-scratching, because it's pretty close to your backyard there is in Nassau, and they have Lance Palmer, who, don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal fighter, but I just figured that you would be the headliner. What's going on with that?
Your guess with all of that is just as good as mine. When I found out that I was the main event for MSG, I was like, all right, that's cool. I was excited. I was happy. And I didn't really expect to be I didn't really know or expect. But then when they said, if you look at the card, of course you would be. I only thought that it would make that much more sense to put me as the main event at the Coliseum. I went to school in Freeport. I went to Nassau Community College, which is, pretty much across the street. And, I train here on top of that. So, right now I am New York. You know what I mean? I am Long Island. It's not, out of all the homegrown fighters that we got out there doing well and everything. And, it's me. I don't know why you would have somebody who has zero ties to New York and somebody that I beat on top of that. Actually, somebody. Because if you look at the main event, both guys have losses on their record, and it's from me. It wouldn't make sense to me, but it is what it is, man. I'm not the matchmaker. I don't dictate, who fights where. I don't dictate where the venues are. I just fight. And so for me, at first it was a little bit of frustrating, but for right now, after everything cleared and everything was all well and good, my job is to fight, man. So it doesn't matter if they put me as the first person on the card. People are still coming out to see me. You know what I mean? And that's all that matters to me. Me having the ability to go out here and fight in front of my home crowd, that's all that matters to me. And, I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure, man. And all those points are extremely valid. And you do hold a victory over Lance. So that's the thing that really is head-scratching. But
And Juma.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't make much sense there. But, Andre, if you look at the bracket here for the featherweight division in the PFL, it's no secret that yourself and Lance are probably the two favorites. Have you allowed yourself to kind of think and play it out that you could be fighting a guy eventually that you've already beaten for $1 million? Have you thought about that?
No. I take it one fight at a time, man. You have to. Everybody always asks me that, man. So what are you going to do when you win $1 million? What would you do if you won $1 million? Everybody always asks me that, but you legitimately can't think about that. You know what I mean? And I'm human. There's times, and I've seen Lance several times already since he's gotten to New York, and, you can't help but think about some of that stuff, but, as much as humanly possible, you have to, negate all of that out your brain, man. I have to worry about Nazareno, because if I don't do what I'm supposed to do against Nazareno, then none of that other stuff matters.
You're 100% right there, Andre, and that's one of my favorite things about you, man, is that you're just you're down to earth, you're grounded in reality, and you don't look past your immediate objective. But it seems like every time we talk, man, I bring up the fact that I believe you're criminally underappreciated in mixed martial arts. I mean, just looking through, you're first off, you're unbeaten. Okay, I mean, if that doesn't say, it by itself that you hold an 18-0 record, I mean, that's phenomenal. Looking at your record here, man, as you said, you hold victories over Lance Palmer, Steven Seiler, Des Green, Kurt Hollabaugh. Both those last two guys are both doing very well in the UFC. But do you feel that this tournament is really been the coming out party for you?
Yeah, honestly, I do. And it's more so instead of like I feel like MMA is non-existent. It's UFC. So if you're not in the UFC, the fact that you fight is like irrelevant. Like you could have fought in ONE FC, you could have fought in Titan, Bellator, wherever, and people will come up to you and be like, "How many fights you got?" You'd be like, "Yo, I got 12." And they'd be like, "All right, cool. When are you gonna turn pro and fight in the UFC?" Like that's how people's minds work. Like they don't understand that going pro doesn't mean that you're in the UFC. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Going pro just means now you have the ability to get paid for it. And so for me, like with the tournament going the way it's going, for example, when I fought at MSG, like my face was on billboards throughout Manhattan, and so with that happening, people are looking like, oh, this is like actually like serious. Like it might not just be the UFC that can put your face on a billboard in New York City. You know what I mean? It's not just the UFC that could put you to fight in Nassau Coliseum. You know what I mean? So the tournament, the way that they're pushing the fighters, it's definitely like reaching a bigger audience. There's not a day that goes by where I can scroll down my social media feed and not see myself on some sort of advertisement. And I've been on commercials on the radio, on TV. So for me, like I think the tournament is pushing the fighters and it's allowing people to see that people can fight outside the organization and get TV time and win big money on top of that too.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. Andre, you're a guy that has been synonymous with World Series of Fighting and now PFL. You've been there through the majority of the run. Let me ask you, man, what are some of the big changes with PFL and World Series of Fighting? Because when they were in Chicago, I had a chance to attend PFL too, and I'll tell you, man, I was super impressed with the way the whole production of PFL was. Very professional, very top-notch. What are some of the changes that you've noticed?
For me, the biggest change would be the advertisement. I feel like when I fought for World Series of Fighting, like there would be like little pamphlets here and there at like I attended an amateur fight in Missouri in Queens, and they had like pamphlets for you to get tickets to see World Series compete at MSG on New Year's Eve, and but it was like every once in a while you would get a cue into World Series of Fighting. I feel like PFL is really making like a push as far as advertisement goes, where the logo is getting seen more and more by more and more people, and I feel like that's the biggest thing, and I feel like it's probably one of the most important things, man. Aside from obviously, like as a fighter, you want to get paid more money, so for me, that's the biggest thing, and I'm happy with the pay increase and the bonus, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like I'm happy for all of that. But I'm also happy with how they're pushing us, man. You're a pro athlete. You work out and train every day as a pro athlete. You do want some kind of recognition for it too. You don't want to just, you don't want to, like you said earlier, you don't want to just be swept under a rug after all the work. I've been doing this for years now, man. I've been training my tail off day in and day out for years now. You know what I mean? And so now I'm happy, man. I'm in a place now where it's like people are starting to recognize my hard work, and it feels good.
I'm so happy that you're finally getting your due, because I've been singing your praises for the last few years. I truly believe you're one of the 2 or 3 very best in the world at featherweight, man, and I'm just so happy that you're finally getting your due there, brother. Well, I know that you have a big fight coming up here against Nazareno. I want to give you a few minutes, shout out your training partners, your sponsors, anything you'd like, man.
Definitely want to shout out my 2 gyms, Belmore Kickboxing, Keith Trimble, Spiro Blantis, Joe Scarola and Gracie Baja. Shout out my management, Battle Squad management, man, and all my training partners, everybody, man. You guys know, and work time, man. I'm excited, man. Get out there and put in some work. Work. And if you haven't listened already, you got to go to the fight and check out my podcast, man. Me and Randy Brown, we out here talking about things from the fighter's point of view. And you got to go in there, man, get some laughs and enjoy the podcast.
Absolutely, will do. I appreciate your time, Andre. Best of luck to you, man, this Thursday at PFL 4 against Nazareno. It's going to be a great time in Nassau.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care, Andre.